February 1st, 1959, continued. We froze. We'd been awaiting this moment anxiously for hours, but when it came at last, we still hesitated. "Blow the slope! Do it, Sergey!" yelled Yuri, breaking out of our horrified trance. Our commander smiled cruelly and hit the detonator. There was a loud crack and a boom, like thunder in the distance. A flash of flame illuminated the slope, casting it in sharp-cut shadow and light. I covered my ears. There was a rumble that echoed across the mountain. For a second, the world held still. Then the whole slope above the tent began shifting. The vibration setting off an unstoppable chain of motion. Tons of snow were moving, sliding down with an unsettling groaning sound. The mass gained speed and struck the tent with a horrible force. Silence fell on the mountain. Slowly, we picked ourselves up. The tension was palpable. We waited with bated breath. Did it work?" I said finally, my voice hoarse. No one answered for a second, listening intently. Then Yuri whispered in an answer. "I think it did," he said. "We should go check." A horrifying scream, louder than any before, cut through the night. My heart sank, a chill running down my spine. Yuri swore and Sergey drew his pistol. "Looks like we're not done yet, soldiers. Get ready." The tent bulged and then split as someone tore it open from the inside. Figures streamed out, running towards our tree line. They weren't screaming. They weren't taken. But my heart sank as the last four shapes emerged from the ruined shelter. Four loud screams sounded across the mountainside once again. The things staggered through the snow, limps uncoordinated, as if whatever force gave the body's movement and strength was not used to these new hosts, but they were moving fast, following the fleeing hikers, and heading straight for us. "Prepare to fire," Sergey commanded, his voice cold as iron. "If it moves, kill it." My surviving comrades kneeled in the snow, rifles trained on the incoming figures. With the crack of gunfire, we fired our first volley. We aimed with all the skills we had, trying desperately to make sure the hikers weren't the ones who'd taken down and die in our crossfire. One of the screaming ones went down, and I cheered, only to curse in fear as his cry of insane pain was raised up by another of the fleeing hikers. Are these things invincible? Would death only make them leap to a fresh target? Another volley set my ears ringing, and two more bodies fell to the ground. Their screams were silenced for only a second before a pair of the fleeing hikers stumbled, twitched, and looked up the agonized cry. Panic sped through our group like wildfire. Discipline collapsed. The screaming men were getting closer, our gunfire doing nothing to stop their advance. First one, then two soldiers fled and turned into the forest. Then we were all running, terror seizing our minds in a group grip. We ran through the midnight forest, the screams of the following things echoing around us. I cried out as the ground below me suddenly fell away, and I tumbled down a small slope. A stream ran at its bottom, and I fell into it, ice-cold tendrils immediately spreading through my body. My comrades ran after me, some falling as I had, some keeping their footing. Sergey stood behind me and lifted me up. "What do we do?" I said desperately, panic threatening to overwhelm me again. Sergey didn't have time to answer. Over the lip of the slope we had fallen down, four shapes appeared. Their screams were deafening. The next moment was only a blur in my memory. I remembered desperate gunfire as the four slavering figures ran among us, their screaming mixing with our own cries of fear and confusion. The corruption sped quickly, men falling dead, others taking up their inhumane shout. One memory is as clear as glass in mine. A screaming figure, a soldier I had known as Igor Panchesko, staggered towards me, his mouth open in a disfiguring grimace. I stumbled backwards, tripping on a prone body and falling on the ground. I would have died. I should have died. But then Sergey jumped in front of me. He never panicked. He may have been cruel, a bastard, and a murderer, but he never panicked. As Panchenko screamed, Sergey aimed his pistol and began firing. His aim was flawless. One bullet, two, three, almost a whole magazine, dumped into Panchesko's chest. all but one shot. As the soldier fell to the ground, and whatever force had moved his muscles, it fled to and find a new host. Sergei put the gun under his jaw and fired. Then Yuri was picking me up. "Run, Michael, run. Run back to the base." I didn't question his command. Didn't ask what we should go back there for. I fled, Yuri beside me as the screaming tore through the remainder of our group. We had gotten away, but the things were still in pursuit. As we staggered through the snow, we could hear them behind, their agonized cries slowly gaining on us. My legs burned, weakness and cold sapping my strength. I would have given up and laid down, waiting for death, if Yuri hadn't kept me going. We dashed through the ruined gate of our former base. The things some 100 meters behind. The darkness in the ruins was absolute, and we would have been soon lost if Yuri hadn't quickly found the battery-powered light. We ran downwards, through the levels of the base, the screaming now closing in behind. If they caught sight of us, this close, it'd be the end. "Where are we going?" I panted, tears of fear and exhaustion streaming down my face. "We're trapped down here." Yuri's face was set in stone. "We can't kill them, Michael," he answered. "If that avalanche and all the gunfire we hit them with couldn't do it, I don't know what will. Then what are we going to do?" He glanced over at me for a second as we fled through the dark. Then he raised his free hand. Grasped in it were 2 grenades. "One of these opens the caves on level 5. I'll lure them inside and I hide. Once they've followed me, I'll sprint out. You have to be ready, Michael. The second I'm out of the cave, you blow the entrance. We'll cause another rockfall. We'll trap them again. We'll seal the cave off." "Exactly," Yuri smiled grimly. He thrust one of the grenades at my chest, and I took it in shaking hands. We tore into level 5. The ground was strewn with corpses, the dead left in the wake of the screaming one's escape, lying in heaps around us. Our pursuers weren't far behind. I could hear their thudding footsteps, their terrible cries. We were running out of time. Yuri sprinted towards the pile of rubble sealing off the caves. "Hide, quickly," he called out. I leapt to the side of the room, taking cover behind an overturned work table. A dead body lay there, its eyes open in death, a grimace of shock and pain set on its face forever, and a small little line of blood coming out of his mouth. A loud bang shook the whole level as Yuri blasted his way into the caves. The walls groaned ominously, their structure damaged, thousands of tons of rock above us pressing down with terrible pressure. The screaming ones were approaching. Their cries were deafening. Yuri's light went dark as he pushed deeper into the unseen cave. There was a quiet thud as he lay it down. The bait was set. We didn't have to wait long. The cries of the things in pursuit rose in crescendo as they crashed into level 5. They didn't stop and dived straight into the caverns, following the light. I leapt from behind the table and ran to the cave entrance. A grenade pin clinked onto the ground as I pulled that out, gripping the safety lever in my sweaty hands. I waited, my heart thudding, my breath coming in short gasps. Desperation began building inside of me, as I realized that something must have gone horribly wrong. Yuri wasn't coming out. How long should I wait? How long did I even have? Suddenly, my friend's voice cut through the cacophony of pain, echoing from the black cavern. "Blow the entrance, Michael. Do it now," he yelled from the dark. I couldn't. I wouldn't. My friend was in there, and I couldn't consign him to his death sentence. "Yuri," I screamed desperately. "I can't." My friend limped into view, staggering around a corner of the passage. 4 shapes leapt up behind him, all attention on Yuri. He hadn't been able to hide from them. We were out of time. Out of options. "Do it, Michael. You have to." He couldn't get any farther with that sentence. I saw one of the pursuing bodies collapse. Yuri twitched, staggered, and fell. Tears blinded me. I released the safety lever and leapt back around behind cover. There was a flash of light and a deafening boom. The screams were drowned out. The wall shook and the cave collapsed. Tons of rock smashed down, shattering on the ground. A cloud of dust sprang up, setting my lungs on fire. I peered through it with watering eyes. The cave was sealed. A wall of rock had fallen in its entrance, blocking it off. I fell to the ground and wept for my lost friend. This is the last entry in my grandfather's journal, except for those last words. God help us. They're still out there. No dead soldiers are mentioned in the old investigations of the Dyatlov Pass incident. I presume whatever arm of the government sent my grandfather to that unknown base had gotten there first, drawn by reports of missing hikers, and made sure their involvement would never be found out. In 2019, the Russian government announced it was opening a new investigation of the Dyatlov Pass incident. The conclusion was that their accident was caused by an avalanche. I guess they're not completely wrong, or not outright lying anyway. I think it was this reminder of this past that sent my grandfather over the edge, pushing repressed memories into his mind. I can't help but wonder if his last written words were true. Are they still in the caves? I wonder if, somewhere out there, in the icy Russian waste, buried beneath the Ural Mountains, 4 men, one of them a hero and my grandfather's long-lost friend, are screaming to this day. Hey guys, it's me, Astro. The Dyatlov Pass incident was a very dark time in Russian history. It was a time of February 1st and February 2nd where 9 Russian hikers went missing for a long time and were finally found covered in snow. Many had unexplained injuries, such as missing tongues, missing eyes, crushed skulls, and ribs. There's no clear explanation for what happened to any of them. The coroner's report announces that each of them died of hypothermia, but that doesn't explain what bodily injuries they occurred. Many didn't even have on full winter clothing on. Some just t-shirts and pants, nothing to keep them warm in the Russian wastes. There are many theories to what happened, some of them involving the Russian military, others claiming it's a Yeti, while others say it's a nuclear blast because many worked around radiation and the trees around them were also covered in radiation. But it's worth noting that this theory is somewhat invalid because the clothes that were found on the missing hikers that had radiation on them were of people that worked in a radiation treatment plant. We may never know what happened to the Dyatlov Pass hikers, and to this day, we're still not sure. There's too many uncertain and unknown factors of what happened to them. If you enjoyed this video, leave a like and subscribe so you don't miss future content. Also, if you want me to take a deeper dive into the Dyatlov Pass incident, I'll be glad to do so. Just leave a comment saying that you would like me to do that. Thanks, guys.